Cops of Reddit. What is the most stupid criminal you have ever met? Not a cop, but I've got a story. I already posted it to our streets about Kevin, so if you've seen it before. That's where. A little over a month ago my apartment was broken into whilst my boyfriend was still inside. He works nights, so at midday he's still fast asleep and didn't notice this guy come in and rummage around until he throws the bedroom door open. Panics at seeing my BF. And runs off. My BF looks around the apartment and finds that the laptops, tablets etc. are still there, and he must run off before getting to all that. But a handful of smaller valuables such as USBs, keys, wallets were gone. He also did a fair amount of damage rummaging around and spray painting our walls. Also ate our biscuits. What was there, however, were the idiot's bags. He'd left his school rucksack containing some schoolwork, some of our possessions, his ID, some years old school papers with his parents' phone numbers on it, etc. So already he's an idiot. We know who he is. The police are having a laugh with us a little later about it. And as one of them takes my BF's statement, we hear a knock at the door. I go to answer it as a friend said he was coming over anyway, and I find the same guy from the ID outside my door. He looks at me, then at the police officer behind me still holding the bags, and asks, "Can I have my bags back, please?" After a stunned moment, he's grabbed by the police officer and my BF confirms that this is the guy. He's arrested on the spot. The police said it was the dumbest thing they'd ever seen. Like something out of a sitcom. It made local news. So I get a call of a beer run shoplifting from the local CVS. I check the area and see two guys matching the description. I detain them, and sure enough they had a couple Coronas and some off-brand whiskey. I confirm with CVS they were the suspects. The alcohol was the property. And they're desirous of prosecution. All is good. My state requires I take them to the station to book into jail and get fingerprinted. Then they are issued a citation and released with a court date a couple months out. While driving to the station I ask what they were doing stealing the alcohol. One guy says that they are only 20, and since they weren't old enough to buy it, they just decided to steal it instead. No big deal. Young people make stupid mistakes. I get to the jail, book them in, and start filling out the citation. The citation requires both birth date and age. I do the math on the birthday. And sure enough the guy is 21. Meaning he is old enough to buy alcohol. I go back into the jail and verify his birthday. Yup. Same one he had listed on his driver's license. I redo the math out loud. 21 years old. I ask, "How old are you again?" He replies, 20 sir. I said, "You turned 21 last month." Again he is adamant, "No, I turned 20. I just left it at that." TLDR, guy stole beer because he forgot his age and thought he wasn't old enough to buy it. Went to jail because of it. A friend of mine got his phone stolen one time. So he called to his own phone number and a burglar answered the phone. He then told the burglar that he was willing to pay to get his phone back, and the robber agreed. So they decided to meet at some random place to do the exchange, and obviously my friend brought the police with him. So they caught the robber with the phone and a Pikachu face. Sorry for my English, me no native. Not a cop, but I used to work at a smoke shop. 3 guys broke in through a large window. Left blood everywhere just trying to get in. Walked right past the high-end fancy expensive glass and proceeded to grab as many cheap Chinese bongs as possible. They went back through the window, breaking 2 or 3 bongs in the process of crawling through the tiny hole they made, probably cutting themselves even more than they already have, and hightailed it across the street. They seem to have dropped damn near everything while running, because there was literally a trail of broken glass leading to the apartment across the street. Cops came, followed the glass trail leading directly to someone's door, looked over the little fence to the bottom floor balcony and saw 3 guys all cut up smoking from a broken bong. We estimated they took 8 or 9 bongs. They were smoking from the only survivor. They turned out to be regulars. Never see them again after that. Not a cop. but worked corrections as a CO. Had a new inmate ask me if I could bring some drugs in for him. Laughed in his face, thinking he was joking. He wasn't, and had to inform him that just asking that question to a staff member could land him in the hole. He didn't see what the big deal was. He tells me he always asks the staff at every jail he lands in. Just shook my head, and thanked him for the job security, which made two other inmates standing close by burst out laughing. There was a kid who sold drugs on my floor of the college dorm who wasn't the brightest. One night he was driving back to the dorm and a police car comes behind him and turns on their lights. His dumbass stored all of his drugs in his car and assumed they were pulling him over for possession. He proceeds to drive through a red light and pull into the dorm parking lot to hide, mind you. His car was covered in bumper stickers, had a kayak rack, and a vanity plate to top it all off. The parking lot only had one entrance and exit too. Apparently he thought the police car wouldn't go through a red light to follow him. Long story short, they were just going to warn him for having a taillight out and nothing more. Instead, he ended up in the local jail and expelled from the college. The funniest part is that his ledger of all transactions and the dollar amounts, products, and buyers was also right there in his car. He was one stupid criminal. We had an inmate that would constantly call Crime Stoppers on his contraband cell phone and try to get them to give him the reward if he confessed to his crimes. He did this several times a month. Not a cop or criminal, but we had a guy break into my high school with his buddy and smash a bunch of soda machines. We had cameras all over the school, but these guys were smart. They said, "Nah, we're gonna cover up our faces so they don't know who did it," and then wore Letterman jackets with the names on the back. Not a cop myself, but about 10 years ago I got held up and robbed by a group of 3 guys with knives. All they wanted was the money in my wallet. So me being the smart guy not wanting to mess with knives just obliged. At the end of the ordeal he put a knife to my throat and said, "If you ever tell the cops my name is less than redacted greater than, I will slice your throat right now." So I went home, called the cops, told them where it happened and gave them the name the guy told me. The name instantly rung a bell with them since the guy had come into contact with the police in the past. Cops went to the spot where I was robbed and they were laying in ambush for a new guy to appear. They could instantly identify the guy. He was arrested and that's about it. Happened in the Netherlands. Don't know his sentence or anything. I'm a 911 dispatcher in Florida. Sometimes confused or drunk people knock on the wrong door or try to get into a house thinking it's theirs. But it isn't. It's an honest mistake. But the homeowner is rightfully very afraid, thinking they're about to be robbed or worse. Well, I had this kid. Must have been in his early 20s and clearly stoned, called me going absolutely crazy that someone is trying to kill him and take his property and rape his girlfriend, blah blah blah. I send units code 3 to this guy thinking it's a burglary in progress. Turns out the guy ordered a pizza and forgot about it. Scared the delivery guy half to death. Went to a job of 2 males attempting to break into a car. Job description said they had been at it for at least an hour. Got there and the car was theirs. They had apparently locked themselves out. Checks confirmed it did belong to one of the person's mum. On their person was stolen mail and heaps of phones and new stuff in boxes in the car, so they got arrested for theft anyway. Ended up that the driver's door they had been trying to break into was the only locked door out of the 4. Was unlocked everywhere else the whole time they were there. Edit: mail turned out to be junk mail and a wedding invitation. Every day I see a big black SUV with sheriff written on the side parked in the driveway across the street. I don't know if the guy is the sheriff or works for the sheriff, but one night I wake up to a dozen sirens outside. Turns out some idiot tried breaking into Sheriff Dude's house while he was home and his vehicle was right freaking there. Took a vehicle burglary report where the victim found a driver's license sitting on her driver's seat that the suspect must have left behind. Seems damning. But if he had any criminal smarts, he would just say his license was stolen and the thief must have dropped it while breaking into this new victim's vehicle. Without any other evidence, the case would have gone nowhere. The next day I take a report at a church that was a couple of blocks away from the vehicle burglary. This guy stole the video cameras from the building. He must have thought the footage came with the camera, because when we checked the video, there was a high-def close-up of the suspect's face as he removed the camera. Good evidence, sure, but I still didn't know who the guy was, until I looked at the license I collected the day prior and saw it was the same exact guy.